Joining us now is Annie Anieze Osakwe with stories trending around the world. Hello, Annie.
Hello. Good morning, Dr. Abati. How are you?
Good morning.
Don't call him Dr. Abati.
What should I call it?
Gen Z Badi.
Ooh, I like that more.
Gen
Z
Or
Badi.
just Baba Gen Z. He said he was Baba Gen Z.
That's your new name, sir.
Yeah. Baba Gen Z.
Sir Gen Z.
Sir Gen Z.
There you go. Rufai, how are you?
Annie, I'm great, and yourself?
I'm doing well.
Yeah.
Rufai.
The pride of Ogidi.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you all. I love that. I love this every morning. All right.
Right?
So, good morning to everyone out there watching. Thank you all for starting your day with us. So we start what's trending today with that breaking news from the Minister of Aviation we learned moments ago regarding Comfort and Manson. The female passenger at IBOM Air has said they removed from the airline after she refused to switch off her phone. So as everyone has seen, the situation got violent. Well, as we were on the air, Aviation Minister Festus Keyamo says he has now ordered 3 actions. For IBOM Air to first withdraw the complaint against her today, for the police to immediately take the steps to release her from Kirikiri prison this week, and finally, for the airline operators of Nigeria to lift the lifetime flying ban imposed on her, which he says they agreed to. As for K1, the musician who allegedly tried to board a value jet flight with alcohol a week prior, his flight ban has been reduced from 6 months to a 1-month period. Nigeria's Civil Aviation Authority is also withdrawing its criminal complaint against K1. And as for Captain Oluronti Ogoyi, who along with her co-pilot was suspended during that same K1 scenario, the NCAA is to restore their licenses after a 1-month ban. So the Minister of Aviation, he also called for a retreat to start next week to properly retrain aviation personnel on how to deal with disruptive passengers. And it's something the minister has also said the press will be able to cover, which is interesting. Things have moved very quickly as we've been following these 2 stories for the last week plus. So Dr. Abati, Gen Z, I'll start with you. What's your reaction to this major development on both fronts here?
Okay, we've been on this all day. First, the minister saying opportunity will be given for the retraining of airline officials, airport officials. I think that is in order. Anytime there is a crisis of this nature, you cannot argue against, an opportunity for review, for resetting, for reflection, and then for lessons that may be learned, and for a collective consideration of what happened, what went wrong, what is the way forward, what lessons can we learn, what do we need to correct, at whatever level. So that's in order. The problem here is that the minister giving instructions to a regulatory agency like the NCAA. The NCAA, under its Enabling Act of 2018, is supposed to be an independent body. And now, whereas the minister may say he's in charge of aviation, I'm not sure that he has the powers to give express instructions to NCAA as to how you should conclude investigations or how you should go about it on a pending matter. We assume that the NCAA will have set up a body to conduct investigations, particularly into the kwam case. That's the matter involving the Fuji Metro. Now, ahead of the conclusion of the investigation, the minister now says he has directed that the 6 months ban, or is it 1 month ban, pending investigations should be reduced to just 1 month, and that in fact kwam should be made an ambassador to advise on protocols in airport operations, which I think is a bit, strange. It's like rewarding the musician for bad behavior. What we must say in this country is that, look, misconduct should be sanctioned. Impunity should be sanctioned. Whether you're a friend of the president or you come from the same ethnic region with the president, or you are an official entertainer of the federal government, no, all those are immaterial. Because all of us go abroad. You can't go abroad and misbehave at an airport, as one Dr. Zoe has pointed out, and you say, I have apologized, and you come up with a song to apologize. No, you will end up in detention. That's why Sean Diddy Combs has been in detention since last year. He's one of the wealthiest musicians in the world. The one says, no, you have no right to engage in transportation for prostitution purposes, which is even the least of the offenses charged against him. But here in Nigeria, if you say you are famous, do you know who I am? Then they will slap you on the wrist. That is where the question is. The other thing is the Kwam 2 lady, the Miss Emanson. Now we've been told she should be released from Kirikiri detention and all of that. Okay, the lifetime ban imposed on her by the Airlines Organization of Nigeria, AON. We understand, okay, that also should be reconsidered. But the other issue, which the Nigerian Bar Association is putting on the table, is that our rights have been violated. Our right to the dignity of the human person, Section 34, our right to fair hearing, Sections 35 and 36, our right to freedom of movement, Section 41, all our rights violated, even our right to privacy, having been dehumanized and tortured and disgraced in public. And nobody has had our own side of the story. The only cinematographic evidence that is out there is a cinematographic evidence that does not tell us the full story. So these are the various dimensions of it. And I advise that now that the NBA and other civil society groups have offered pro bono legal services in favor of Ms. Emanson, that she should make use of the opportunity and insist on her rights, because the law should be fair to everybody. The law must not be selective. No Nigerian is bigger than the other one. We are all citizens under the rule of law. I've seen some mischievous people saying that, well, some people have suffered damages, but I don't want to say that on television. That will be said off camera.
Rufai.
Ewe ori jimoje, ewe ori jimoje o. Ẹni bá ṣe kó foríjì mí, ewé orí jimoje. What it means is very blaze. I have caught the leave of forgiveness. Anybody I've offended, anybody I've offended, forgive me. And that's the new song that Wasiu was singing somewhere. Truth is, but why are we surprised that it transpired this way? But this is Nigeria. When we say it here, some people shout, oh, we are hypocrites and all of that. But is this not the Nigeria we know? They aided one another. In fact, the lucky party here is that Comfort, this happened to her after something like Wasiu had happened. Because if it has not happened, she will have just languished in jail for the fun of it. It's because we now posited equivalence and said, oh, the law that applied to Wasiu, why shouldn't it apply to her? That's why she was lucky. But this is Nigeria now. Is this not the Nigeria that we know that security authorities will frame people? Are we acting like we don't know what goes on in Nigeria? Is this not the Nigeria that we know that EFCC will get into someone's apartment, destroy the person's property? How many of the rights have those people claimed in the name of looking for leads? Did this even one happen to a property owned by former president of the country, Olusegun Obasanjo? Is this not the country of selective justice? So why are we acting like this? In fact, the kwam 1 case was already settled because since the apology, nobody was saying anything again. It was because of the public outcry, the IGP quickly now said, oh, let's start investigating the kwam 1 case before they brought about this peace deal. I will never get to what was the investigation. And that was why I was saying that. Till today, has anybody checked what really happened with the Oshomole case? That's why when the Senate said they were going to investigate, I said, what's the Senate investigating? Is it the same Senate you and I know? Have they given us a report on what happened on the Oshomole case? So why are we talking like we don't know that this is Nigeria? Let me tell you what will probably...
The investigation may be ongoing.
As regards the Oshomole case?
It may be ongoing.
By the Senate?
Yes.
They investigate their own colleague? Oh yeah, okay, don't worry. If you believe that, Dr. Abati, then you will believe anything in this country. But as regards all of this that is happening, we are not oblivious of what Nigeria has become. It's still a country for those at the top. this morning you were trying so hard to defend the EFCC. I'm also defending them. But the EFCC makes me laugh. The same EFCC that had cases that were chasing people, once they got into power, the EFCC stopped chasing them. It's not that those people have immunity till date. We know those cases. We can mention a lot of them. But we don't want to shatter the table this morning. So is it that those that have files that are very full in the EFCC, that are serving in this government, is it that the EFCC, they didn't see that file again or they forgot it? And they will wait till they finish serving. So that's the country we have built in totality. What will probably happen is they will say, comfort, you have been lucky, God has vindicated you. Just forget it. As guys, the Wasu case, we will never set a precedent. They will also say, you know what, let's just allow it go. You know, he's apologized. Was it not government officials that were sharing Wasu's apology in the first place? People serving in government. Were they not the one that started sharing it since Friday? To err is human. It's not a government official that started sharing Wasu's apology.
Can only reduce the sentence.
Dr. Abati.
He is, or what is called allocutus.
Dr. Abati.
He does not translate into innocence.
Dr. Abati, in a crime of that nature committed against government, it's the same government official that are coming to say to err is human, to err is human. So is that not the kind of country we live? So, see, to a large extent, we will never get to the end of this matter. That's the Nigeria I know. And it will happen again, and almost the same thing will happen again. Because till date, we don't even know in clear terms what a Washu's charge sheet will have looked like staying in front of a plane. So once we have seen all of that, and that's why I say culture will use strategy for breakfast.
On October 1, you will be invited to entertain people
the president
during the independence celebrations. That's when you get your answer.
Ambassador Kwam one. So, but today, Emma Loganu see me, Emma Yonu see me, Yonu Olorun. So, I beg. Let's continue. Let's stop fooling ourselves that we don't know what's going on in this country.
On that note, let's continue. Now to a different story in Nasarawa, where right now police are still looking for 9 out of 16 inmates who managed to break out of a jail there in the early hours of Tuesday morning. It happened at the Medium Security Custodial Center. And in a statement, the spokesperson of the Nigerian Correctional Service said inmates breached the security of the facility and attacked personnel on duty, enabling 16 inmates to escape custody. And in the course of containing the situation, 5 personnel sustained varying degrees of injury, 2 currently serious and receiving urgent medical attention. 7 of the fleeing inmates have been recaptured and are now in custody. So this prison break adds to a number of jailbreaks that have happened in the last few years, from Kogi State, where 12 inmates escaped earlier this year, the Suleja prison break, where over 108 inmates escaped last year, or even the Kuje prison break in 2022, where over 800 inmates were freed, although half of them were later caught. And Vimbai, I'll start with you on this, because what is the frequency of these jailbreaks signaling to you? Is it a resource problem, overcrowding, lack of security, or all the above?
Yes, most certainly all of the above, plus more. Rufai always likes to say culture will eat strategy for breakfast. Now, we've accepted that we have these colonial structures as our custodial centers, and they're over, some of them are over 100 years old, and these are the same structures that we're still using now. They don't even, many of them don't even meet up to the modern standards, modern requirements of what you would expect in these, custodial centers. So you have that issue. We have dilapidation happening there. There's no maintenance happening. You have overcrowding. You have those awaiting trial in detention. You have poor welfare standards. The issues are compounded where it concerns our prisons. So this is why it's recurring. And if you notice that a lot of these prison breaks also happen during the rainy season, because they take advantage of the time when it floods, or obviously it floods, and then the structures also get a little bit moist and so forth. I guess it's easier for them to break out. And also, given the welfare packages for some of our services, our officers, you also can't deny the fact that there's probably a little bit of corruption also taking place in these environments. So all in all, our prison system is outdated. It needs a refreshment. I understand there's a new custodial center which is being built somewhere. I was looking for the report, I can't find it. So there are some efforts here and there. Last year, I believe the Minister of Interior also tried to see how he could get some people out of prisons and so forth. But generally, the problems are compounding, they're overwhelming, and we're not able to really find a sustainable solution to this. I suppose a sustainable solution is to just build new prisons, but that certainly is easier said than done when you look at the long list of things that are still required to be achieved, especially with regards to infrastructure development in Nigeria. So this is really unfortunate that we continue to hear this as a recurring saga and no real permanent solution yet, which I think would be to build new structures and make sure those responsible for those structures, the wardens, the officers and so forth, are well remunerated. But that on its own is a tall order. And then of course, some, expediting our justice system. If you can see, we saw the case of, not to take us back there, but if you saw how quickly Ms. Comfort was accosted, arrested, detained, but then when it's time to wait for the trial, thank God it has been withdrawn, but if we were to wait for that trial, that's a drawn-out process. Meanwhile, somebody is taking up space that should be taken up by convicts, So I think several problems in that sector, and it's going to take a lot of intervention for us to really find sustainable solutions.
Very interesting. Now to Abuja, where President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration just made, then reversed, a key appointment within mere hours. The appointment came earlier this week, where Muiba Dankaka, you see on your screen, was said to be reappointed as the chairperson of the Federal Character Commission. But later that same evening, the administration put out a press release on X reversing that decision, saying that in fact, President Tinubu has named Ayo Omidaron as the new executive chairman of the Federal Character Commission, adding she succeeds Dankaka, whose tenure was dogged by controversy. With Omidaron at the helm instead of Dankaka, the switch-up caused some confusion, with some people on X commenting under that same post we just shared asking, which one is authentic? It comes as just yesterday, the government also started the process of appointing 5 new permanent secretaries, 3 of which are meant to lead new ministries altogether. And in a memo from the head of the civil service, it states that following the approval of Mr. President, the office is set to commence the process for the appointment of 5 permanent secretaries, adding these appointments will fill vacancies for Imo State and the Federal Capital Territory, as well as 3 newly created rotational zonal positions arising from the establishment of additional ministries. And taking these 2 stories together, I always think it's worth taking a step back from the inner workings of appointments and naming people to different posts, and just talking about the appointments, the impact that these new ministries will actually have on regular people's lives. So Rufai, I'll start with you. What does this all mean for people?
Yeah, Federal Character Commission has a lot to do, in the lives of people. And truth has to be said, when it comes to a shuffle in this position, the question I would like to ask is, did they not clear on the controversy before they announced the appointment? I think that should be the big question. Yeah, we know every position is at the prerogative of the president. Did they not see through any petitions written before they made the announcements? Because Dr. Abati took the same position that Bayo Adenuga is doing now. It took it many years ago. I would like to ask from institutional experience, were there times that after making an announcement and you cleared with the president, then something now came up, they brought a quick contending controversy clause, and you were said to go and rescind the announcement you had hitherto make?
Well, none that I can remember. But I think the big issue here is one of administrative competence. How the state keeps records, how due diligence is observed before appointments are made. Now, the Ms. Dankaka, she was reappointed at 6:44 p.m. Most of the commissioners were returned for another term of 5 years. And then at about 10:45 p.m., about 4 hours later, another appointment was made You know, this is after this Ms. Dan Kaka had even received a letter of congratulation from the Emir of Ilorin, congratulating her on her reappointment. So I think it's very untidy. And this is not the first time this will happen under the Tinubu administration. You recall that I think a national honors list, was it last year or so, or this year, persons were named on that national honors list who had died. The Nigerian state does not even have a proper record of dead persons who were not even being given posthumous award, although there's a story about giving posthumous award on the national list, if you go into the National Honors Act of 1964. Now, so this happens all the time. So what we just asked for is for due diligence in order not to embarrass people. I'm sure that Ms. Dan Kaka must be feeling like, oh, some tragedy has befallen her, because of the embarrassment she has been exposed to. People should serve because they've been invited to serve, and they should not be embarrassed in the process.
So sorry. In your time, did you guys have a directory of every appointment that was announced and everybody that was, is there a records?
That function is the responsibility of the office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. Because if any appointment is to be made, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation will be aware of it. And they will have double-checked, he will have consulted the President, and I assume that office has records, up-to-date records. Even if it's an appointment that is going to be made by the President expressly, they will still do background check. It's not as if you just appoint people just like that. You look at their CV, you look at where they're coming from. If there are issues, there will be background security checks. Sometimes the Department of State Security may say, no, this person is not a fit and proper person. And they will advise the President, accordingly. So this is why we say due diligence is important. Even when you compile national honors list, somebody should vet it. If 2-3 people look at it, if anybody has died on that list, they will know this is a small community, despite our population. So I just call for due diligence so that we don't advertise administrative incompetence, the type that we see now and again.
And let's stay in Abuja because as of right now, the Director General of the National Youth Service Corps has officially been given a petition to reverse a decision to prolong the service period for the youth copper Rita Ugwamaye, popularly known as Ray. So she's the Corps member who alleges they're not giving her discharge certificate because she criticized President Tinubu's administration in a viral video from a few months ago. So the lawyer, Inibeye Efyong, says, we have submitted a formal petition to the DG of the NYSC today at the headquarters in Abuja, demanding the reversal of the extension of the service period of Ray by 2 months and that her certificate be issued immediately. So it comes as Omoyele Sowore led a protest in front of NYSC's headquarters just yesterday, demanding that Ray's discharge certificate alongside that same lawyer who submitted this formal petition. As you see in this picture here, they were together. And as for the NYSC, they've refuted all of Ray's claims, saying that her service year was extended by 2 months because she didn't attend the April 2025 biometrics clearance. But according to Ray, what the NYSC isn't saying is, quote, how I was present in April, exactly, yet the local government kept asking me to go to the back, and when she finally wanted to attend to me, she said she won't clear me. She seized my file and told me to get out. And it seems like it's a significant step for Sowore to stage this protest on Ray's behalf in front of NYSC's headquarters. I think, Vimbai, I'll start with you on this. How are you reacting to the developments around the story? Because it was big when she first posted that video.
And this is why we can't let stories die. We have to follow them and continue until they get to their logical conclusion. This is very unfair that this young girl is being targeted for comments, for expressing her opinion on TikTok. And what's funny about this is that after she expressed her opinion, it became a trend. So many people joined in the conversation Yet she's the one who is now being held responsible for expressing her freedom of speech. If you remember that time, we went through all of the rule books and all of the statutes of NYSC, and it was clear that she was not in violation of any of the rules of NYSC, because NYSC is not a place that is supposed to be punishing people. It's a place that's supposed to be teaching young Nigerians how to integrate with a pan-Nigerian outlook. That's the purpose of this. And doing so also allows you to be in a new place and express your observations of that place. And again, I always say this, it's supposed to teach you patriotism. And patriotism doesn't mean liking whoever is your current president. It means loving your country. Because the president is a rotational seat. This is not a kingdom, it's not an empire. The president will come and go. And it's okay for you to one day feel that you disagree with whatever is happening as it pertains to your reality. So the fact that this is now translating into this long drawn out, and she's still being punished, even though they had expressly said that she would not be punished, they've still found a way to punish her, and they think that, oh, they'll get away with it. No, you cannot frustrate this girl. I hope that they're able to normalize. She should be allowed. She has served her time. She should be allowed to pass through and begin her life, because after this is hustle. It's not like she's going into any cush environment. She's now officially unemployed, so to speak. She's going into the job market. She needs to start her life. So why frustrate her when she's about to start the toughest journey of life, which is what happens when we graduate from university? Just as a side note, sorry, quickly before Rufai goes, I just want to hail. During the ad break, I was saying Showere's wife. She's really now woman be that. She's a real woman, because I mean this man, just last week he had a broken arm. He does so many things for activism, and I love the fact that his wife and his family just stand by him. They're supportive. They create a conducive environment for him to go out and express himself, which is very rare.
I'm very apt. I mean, Shore makes a lot of sacrifices for this country. People like Shore definitely have done so much for this country. But I want to make a quick point. I think one of the greatest problems in Nigeria is institutional subservience. You see, one part that we've forgotten, because there's also something about institutional memory in Nigeria, is the fact that how the NYSC, some people within the fold, had threatened Rare, and it took Showore to go into that place with her initially, and they were nowhere to be found. So when all of that kerfuffle happened, she was also threatened. Some people had said words against her that how can she do such a thing? Some officials had come out. And then when they went there, they said, where are those officials? So I think the only thing they now felt as a last straw was to be able to frustrate her when this happened. My only fault with Raya is that as this happened on that day you went for that clearance, you will have made it known. You will not have waited for this time that they not there. You will have said you went there and this happened. Nigeria, you will have said, Nigerian people, I'm calling on you that same day, so that we'll start to drum it. Now they are trying to look for a lacuna, because NMTC, NYC quickly reacted by saying, oh, she did not do the right thing, until it took Inibe Effiong to come out. Or what's the offense? Because she criticized Nigeria. So what Reyes said, is it wrong? In fact, the NYC people should be sanctioned, because they don't even know, they don't have sense enough to know why they are there. Do you know what the NYC was set up? The NYC was set up to be able to bring unity to this country after the war, to reintegrate people. And things that are happening that can threaten the unity of Nigeria is happening in this country within security. And all the bigotry that is going on. And a girl spoke up about it. And she said Lagos smells. And they say, why should she say that? Is Lagos not smelling? No, there's perfume everywhere in Lagos. Go and smell the gutter in front of anybody's house in Lagos. Even in the eyebrow area. So what is it that she said is a lie? You see, we should have a country where we should speak up. Because this is the same country that the APC was in the vanguard of speaking up. That's why a lot of people celebrated and respected them. I was working in the radio station there. Alhaji Lai Muhammad will always come to our radio every Saturday morning to criticize the government, and we said kudos to you. This was the same APC that shut down this country for the first 2 weeks for removal of subsidy that they have now removed. Everybody praised them. So what is it that, what is it called? Criticism now becomes like Werepe on their body. Werepe is that leaf that when you put, it scratches them. What is going on in this country?
Anyway, the point to be made, is that the right to the freedom of expression is constitutionally guaranteed, Section 39. Nobody should be punished or discriminated against on the basis of the fact that they are expressing themselves. Number two, NYSC is saying, well, 131 youth corps members didn't show up for biometric verification. The logical thing would be for the NYSC to organize another biometric verification for those children, post-hates, and then allow them to go through that biometric verification, whether it's the lady in question or any other person. You cannot say because they did not show up on the appointed day, then they will not get their certificate when they have already completed the exercise. 3, civil servants. There's something called the civil service reform. But we have a problem in this country where civil servants are overzealous because they want to impress politicians, because they want to impress their sponsors. They go beyond the call of duty to misbehave.
Right.
This is why the intervention of Shore and other activists is very important. And they must not give up the protest or the struggle until the right thing is done by the NYSC.
Absolutely. And so that's, another story we'll be sure to keep following. And before we get to the good news today, on a lighter note, let's look at a video that's now trending online. Osun State Governor Ademola Adeleke, also known as Davido's uncle, had some moves at his nephew's wedding this weekend in Miami. Let's take a look at that video. Wasn't that fun? So now to some good news, because exactly 2 weeks from today, actors and celebrities from around the world will be in Venice for the iconic Venice International Film Festival. It's also known as the oldest festival in the world, and for the first time this year's lineup is going to have a record number of African films, including Saint Simon, directed by Olubunmi Ogunshola from Nigeria. So here's what we know about the movie. It stars veteran Nollywood actor Kanayo Kanayo in the film, looking at the clash between tradition and modernity and how younger generations see themselves in a changing world. And yes, the theme of old versus new might be a common theme in a lot of Nigerian movies, but the fact that this one is showing in Venice is a big deal. It means this movie now joins the ranks of films like My Father's Shadow, that showed at the Cannes Film Festival, or Mami Wata, that premiered at the Sundance Film Festival. And all of this reminds Nigeria and the world that Nigerian films can also connect with global audiences. What a nice story.
Art is the creative sector, very thriving, buoyant, a successful sector of the economy, contributing significantly to GDP. And we're very proud of the actors and the other creative artists who are putting Nigeria on the map, whether in Cannes or in Venice or in Canada or elsewhere. What we keep asking for is that, look, seeing that the creative sector is so positive in terms of its contribution to Nigeria's image and branding and soft diplomacy, government should show more interest in that sector and encourage talents, provide opportunities for the flowering of talent, and the ones that are senior actors and artists amongst them to ensure that their work can be sustained, because it's not for personal benefit. In the long run, it's for the benefit of the country and all of us, because when we go somewhere and say, they say, I know Kaneto Konkwo. You say, yes, I know. I know Kanayo. You'll be proud to also be associated with those cultural ambassadors. Thank you, Annie.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Abati.
I think we draw the curtain there. And that's all on today's edition of the Morning